right? And there. That like nothing happened. Yeah, here we go. Oh, are we? What? We're live.
Crepes, Crepes are live. Quick, finish the sign.
Yeah, I mean, we're done. We're done. Okay. But as I was saying, walk up, slap. This is what Supernova should do here in game number 2. They need to get that cat off the board. Maybe make some other adjustments in their draft as well. But I think that's step number 1 of what might be a pretty long list given that first game.
Yeah, it was a very scary game for Supernova to look at. They had the tools to find early game leads, and they tried for it. Unfortunately, DK Crew were wise to plays, they were ready to respond, and they were more than capable of throwing down and getting a bit crazy when it warranted it, because Supernova, we know, very hyper aggro in the early stages of the game. DK Crew, they matched it, they didn't let themselves get walked over. We memed a little bit about the red buff, but as soon as it felt like that was really the turning point. That was the turning point, yeah, exactly. Supernova got 2 red buffs, but as soon as that third red went the way of DK Crew, Shorter Race is unleashed, can never go back. The timing's lined up as well. Look at that gold graph. 12 minutes, it was 13, a slight dip.
That was
a slight dip.
Okay, so as soon as Shorter Race, are we saying, Rude, that as soon as Shorter Race takes a red buff, the game ends in their favor and they win? You know, we have a really large sample size of one entire game of League of Legends.
No, alternatively, right? It's when Actor doesn't get the red buffs that he's always been taking. So when Actor gets a net negative on red buffs from the first clear.
So it's not a DK specific thing, it's an Actor specific thing. He needs to,
if he's not taking red buffs, if he's not securing red buffs, Supernova aren't winning.
I was gonna write something. Okay, hold on. Talk about the draft.
I'll vibe.
I'm gonna
Okay.
Get the graph loaded up.
I love this. We're doing it on the fly. This is not improv, by the way. This was all scripted, all planned. Yep. As you know, if you follow Grapes on Twitter, bang a tweet produced slightly earlier on. Shout out all of the above. But we've got this this match now between the two teams, where Supernova coming into the series, as we mentioned, really need to win. The same for DK Crew as well, because of the Proving Grounds stakes. Obviously, this doesn't mean that either team locks top 10 if they win, but what it does mean is that their chances of locking top 10 if they lose are pretty much over and done with. It becomes very difficult with their points from PDCQ Summer number 1, and then a top 16 finish here means that you are really hard pressed to make your top 10. Every win does matter. Every series really has an impact. So Supernova being down 0-1 should just be more motivation for them to start picking wins and start to keep themselves in this series, because if they go into a win here, it would be 2 top 12s. Grapes, do we have a graph?
Okay, so this is what we have here. So it took me a very long time to do this. Okay, so here's the first step. Actor gets two red buffs, right? First clear. Okay. Then we take that's the standard. That's what happens in every game, right? Second time around, if he gets 2 red buffs, then we go on to the next stop. If he gets 0 to 1 red buffs, it's a loss. And then we go to the next stop. The third time around, this is where things went a bit awry for Supernova. Gets all 2 of the red buffs, win. If not, it's the. I mean, this is again big sample size of one entire game of League of Legends to determine this, but this seems to be the formula that we're working with right now.
I see. The classic Supernova strategy. Sorry. Oh, wait, hold on. I need to get my notepad back and start G-ing all of this.
There's a test. There's a test at the end of class. At the end of the game.
I'm writing these down. Thank you. I've got that. I'll save it. It'll be in. I expect to get an A on that test. The one question that we're going to get from it, following the flow chart.
Just draw the graph again. That's the test.
draw the Grapes graph of Actor, and that is it. We can coin that, trademark it. And hopefully that'll sell on the internet at some point.
I'll save it here. Maybe I can
stick TM next to it, and I think it's legally owned by you.
Is that an NFT right there? Did I just make an NFT?
Oh, sell it! Yes. Okay, I think you did it.
All right, auction goes up at the end of the day. Let's go back to what we're talking about here with these two teams. Supernova, for the past couple of games, especially throughout the group stage of this event, really seem like they're attempting to go for these aggressive early game play styles, but aren't leaving as much wiggle room for them to make some slight mistakes and fall behind a little bit. There's not a lot of comeback potential with the way that they're setting up their games.
They can hopefully draft themselves a slightly better out clause. That fail-safe, a bit of a late-game win condition that was sorely missing in game number 1. They are once again on the red side. Feels like that comfort spot for Supernova, so maybe they're going to have a little bit of volatility in that R5 pick once again. But for DK Crew, it should just be business as usual. Quite happy to take this blue side. Quite potentially just be one the Talia and Grapes. I want to draw your attention to the sign above your head. No Yuumi bans just yet.
Hey, it's just the first one so far. Of course, DK Crew aren't going to ban it because they won on it, right? So these are the moments of truth that we're waiting for right now, and this is the test. Remember, this is like just like how you're gonna have a test later. The Supernova test right now. This is I wrote on the bulletin board and everything, and now they have to kind of figure that out for themselves. Or not opting for that instead, maybe trying to stifle some of the early aggression that DK like to provide in their SS of the draft. But still, the cat available for the taking if they want it.
Zeri Yuumi as a bot lane duo is something that I'm never happy to see given over, and I expect at least one of those pieces to be in some capacity taken. Be it that Pluto takes it for himself, right? There is the option that Supernova leave it up here, and then DK Crew first pick the Talia like they did last game, and then Supernova go, aha, you've activated our trap card. We will simply take the Zeri Yuumi from you.
That is taken away, actually. So maybe try to make sure that Shorter Race isn't able to, you know, make up for the farm losses by going for early game plays. But right now, side of DK Crew doing with a very similar, you know, state that they did in game number 1 with that Talia lock in the first phase. Supernova, they could lock the Zeri Yuumi here. That could be another deviation. Who knows?
No, that's not it. Okay.
Bel'Veth Yuumi also good, I will say.
Yeah. That's true, but we're missing the crucial part of that. Still, what Supernova blind picked Gnar in this position last time as well. They were quite happy to go for that.
That is not what I was
neither of the two picks that we wanted.
Okay, so it wasn't Zeri.
But this is different, and this is better.
Okay, Rude. How is it?
Because remember what we talked about just a couple seconds ago.
They have damage.
Get your late game failsafe.
That is true. I am surprised to see this on Ariandel, because I feel like this is not really up his alley in terms of, you know, a champion that he, you know, has a lot of games on. You think of the Galio, you think of maybe the Silas, Twisted Fate, things like that. Not a whole lot of DPS there, so maybe Supernova going for a bit of a deviation of their own to make sure that they have the scaling with the Bel'Veth and with the Azir. Well, I'm gonna hold on the hover right now.
Did we forget what was so powerful in game 1?
Woo! It's a Rammus! We have Rammus with the Proving Ground circuit, everybody. It's really good into Bel'Veth, but it's not exactly, you know, this is still up and it hasn't been picked yet, so I don't really know what's happening here.
I'm confused, Grapes. I came into this, I was like, okay, Zeri Yuumi, bish bash bosh, very powerful combo. Maybe we don't give it over once again. Instead, we simply pick champions that are completely different and not in the meta at all. We have Bel'Veth, who I mean, I think teams are unsure quite how strong this champion is. I think that a lot of teams have got her in the this champ sucks, and a lot of teams have got her in the right composition. This champ is very good. Unfortunately, the right composition tends to not entail playing up against a Rammus, and we can hop into the intricacies of that matchup when we get them as they become more pertinent and more relevant to the situation. But right now, we've actually got a weird situation where neither bot laners, or neither bot lanes really, have picked any of their champions.
Yes, and Zeri is still up. Yuumi not up anymore. A+ on the test Supernova. I can take this down now, at least for the time being, unless you forget about it in game number 3 if it ends up happening. But support pools really targeted heavily here. 2 of Clyde's most signature champions off the board specifically.
Now the question is, do Supernova prioritize taking themselves a support, having the champion pool be so pinched, or do they prioritize having a counter pick of choice? Every single ADC is open and available outside of that Kalista. We've still got Lucian, Seraphine, Zeri, all open and available, ready for the taking. Senna, another one as well. And we get now, obviously, if the Senna gets locked in, the option of an insane amount of pairings that are not simply gated to supports in the bot lane.
I really like this comp a lot more than game number 1 Supernova.
So do I.
They have late game damage, they have big front lines, they still have tools to make plays in the early game as well. Bel'Veth, although a scaling jungler, has the knockups early, a lot of the dashes to try and gap close, is a very solid ganker with all the setup that Meslo will be able to provide on the Sejuani as well. really good setup for them here. I really like the way that they changed directions here headed into game number 2. But the response here for DK Crew is not the Zeri, but instead the Aphelios, a champion that Evan RL is very on.
Aphelios Lulu comes through as the bot lane pick. A very throwback bot lane, really, if anything. But good to see an Enchanter once again picked up down in that bot lane. You imagine Tahm Kench just gets locked in here, no? If we're playing for Supernova.
I might be a bit Wolverine told here, but can we see a Soraka? Okay, this'll do good too. This is also good. Yeah. I think that, you know, with Aphelios Lulu, you have a lot of range that can be countered by having a lot of range on your own side. And so by this Senna Seraphine instead of the Senna Tahm Kench, maybe it provides a little bit more value for Supernova down in the bottom lane.
Disengage in different forms. Tahm Kench acts as a front line and could potentially save Tomato if he gets in a bit of a pickle. Pluto's going to do the same effort, but a different style at which he's going to execute upon that. Going to be using the Charm to disengage a lot of DK Crew. And I think that this is going to be a very interesting game. This is more what I was expecting. I think that coming into game number 1, we both looked at it and went, well, there's a distinct difference in what these two drafts are going to be able to accomplish. Where this time round, I feel like both of them have gone to, okay, we've devolved back to, can we simply 5v5 and see who wins?
And it's different than something that we've seen from Supernova traditionally, both in the first tournament and also in this tournament, where it was always get Actor on an early game champion, really snowball. And we were saying that that was leading to Supernova's struggles as they started to kind of get exposed a little bit, especially here in this tournament. So they're kind of changing the ties a little more here. They're picking a ton of scaling here, while Actor still has the ability to try and go for gank. So I really appreciate what Supernova is doing, because if it was anything similar to game number 1, DK Crew would likely just have that easy 2-0.
Yes, so what do we expect from Supernova this time round? With this complete detraction from what we've seen from them, very un-LPL-esque style champs that they've picked up for themselves, a potentially much slower game. Ariandel on this Azir is going to be a focus for me, because as you mentioned at the top of it getting picked up, it's not necessarily a pick that we associate with him, so I want to see how proficient he is with this Azir. Those maneuvers, the slide and glides are potentially something to keep our eyes on. I also want to see how well hybrids can perform in this top matchup. Has got the range versus melee advantage, but this was a pick that Meslo took willingly into the Gnar, so there is obviously that to and fro of, well, traditionally you would expect Gnar to have the advantage against a fairly tanky top laner, but also that Meslo has picked this for himself. Maybe he knows something we don't. Okay,
Rude. You said the two interesting things about this draft were the Azir and the Gnar. When there is a Rammus in the game.
No, and no.
No?
Thank you.
Okay. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, everybody. Game number 2 between DK Crew and Supernova about to get underway. Supernova need a win to stay alive in both this tournament and also keep their season intact. Again, that top 10 spot remains available to the winner of this best of 3. And for the Heart of Amateur to miss out on PG 2 splits in a row, definitely not something that they're looking forward to do.
Look at your summoner spells for the bot lane of this Supernova squad as well. Pluto rocking the teleport, the heal for Tomato. This is triple TPs for the Supernova squad. It means Pluto is going to be your farmer, has of course started out with that Doran's ring, and is ready and raring to go with the farming down on that bot side. Hybrids and Meslo both having a little bit of a scrap. Meslo has used that Frost Armor to bully his way into the top brush at level 1. And starting out with the Arctic Assault means that he's got that escape tool if he gets too pressured early on.
Okay, so going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the game, Rude, does this red buff strategy formula still remain now that Actor is on Bel'Veth and not like Kindred and the team has a little bit more scaling?
Well, yes. Let's just say yes. Let's go with it. Let's
prove us wrong, Actor.
Let's as we said in game number 1, in series number 1, force the narrative to prove our point.
Yes.
Let's see what it is that Actor can accomplish. Now we do get a little glimpse at both our junglers, and I think that this is the perfect time to highlight a little bit of quite why Rammus is such a good pick into Bel'Veth.
So now you want to talk about it.
Oh, you know, I said I would do. I knew I'd have to get there eventually. But the way that the Bel'Veth E in particular works is that she sort of hunkers down, channels a lot of auto attacks consecutively. And fortunately for Rammus, he reflects damage off of every single one of those instances of auto attack damage. So when you use the armor from Rammus, I think it's your W in fact, you're more than capable of out-trading the Bel'Veth by simply taking damage, weirdly enough.
Yeah, it's kind of the why are you hitting yourself strategy coming to full force. You know, we see Rammus is into Master Yi. The Bel'Veth, very similar concept as we take a look at Actor's first potential gank up in the top lane. Was spotted on that ward, I believe, in the mid-top side quadrant here. So Hybrids knows that something suspicious is happening, but might be a little bit too late. Gonna have to use the hop already. The knockup comes through. Meslo forcing the flash early on.
We get a little bit of a glimpse there of the Bel'Veth E. It means you stack up Conqueror very quickly as well. And, you know, we get to see that there is a little bit of util in the Bel'Veth kit as well. That knock-up landing. Nice to see that Actor's got the eye in for that one. But now Shorter Race making his return play. This isn't anything, surely.
That was the brakes. Stopping. Not able to get anything.
Underwhelming, alas.
That was maybe the most mechanically intense play-by-play I've ever done.
Oh, that could be true. Could be true. Rammus E dealing 630 damage. It's a non-damage spell, but if you CC crabs, obviously they lose all of their shield health. Maybe we'll see him look to try and cross onto this top side now. He has only got his Krugs remaining, so not too sure where he's going, but you need to try and protect your top lane. There's no ward down for Hybrids, and he has no flash.
Yeah, a repeat gank is certainly the correct move right now. If you are Supernova, the hop will get stunned out of him, and that is first blood into Actor.
Okay, lovely stuff. Loving this from Supernova so far. You punish the top laner that has no flash. He doesn't have a ward down, and unfortunately his jungler, rather, is not ready and able to respond in enough time. Also pushing this wave under the turret so that it is almost entirely missed. Fortunately, it is a cannon wave. He may well lose the cannon creep, but the majority of the rest of the wave will be picked up. It's not the end of the world necessarily here for Hybrids in the top lane, but it is, of course, a Sejuani who's now double the farm of a Gnar in the top lane. No Ignite, unfortunately, but still looking very good.
And Hybrids used the teleport after burning the flash the first time around when Actor tried to show up in his lane. So missed out on a lot of that CS. The wave being entirely missed, as this is just a new one crashing in for him to try and collect. So really good start from Supernova, playing a little bit more standard than we are used to. But talking to Zoo a little bit before the start of last series that they had, he said that the big thing that Supernova wanted to try and grow on was playing a little bit, you know, being able to be a bit more multi-dimensional, not just having this specific playstyle. And I feel like this is the first time so far, the split at least, Rude, that we're seeing that happen in action.
Could very well get a little bit more from this. I don't know the Hybrids wins this here.
It's approaching Mega Gnar, but looks like the trades won't end up happening. Ariandel getting pretty low. Will have to burn that teleport of his own. But not dying, which is probably the most crucial part. We'll be able to get that reset in.
Hybrids needs to crash this wave. This is really bad for him right now on this top side. And you can see that Supernova are really trying to force the issue with 3 people, it feels like, already rooming up. Tomato could be in trouble, though. This is a flash.
Said so beautifully, but the flash will be followed by Shorter Race. Here comes the taunt, but it's a little bit too early. In comes the W. Actor picks up the kill, and Shorter Race's counter pick didn't work so well when it was a 1v3.
Yeah, all 3 members have to flash over that wall from DK Crew if they're going to go for that play. Unfortunately, it's only Short Race that goes for it, and the rest of the team are too far to be able to respond. Gets a little bit too hyphy there on the Rammus, and unfortunately, the first real play that we get to see Short Race go for ends up being a flop. It costs them big time, and now 2 kills on to Actor on this Bel'Veth, who's going to be working very swiftly, I imagine, toward that Kraken Slayer to try and cut through the Rammus's armor.
Picking up even more camps potentially with his invade, getting as many of those stacks as he possibly can. See, already 15 procced here, which just means even more attack speed, even more damage as we continue to get later on to this game, which is good looks for Actor. Already off to a much better start than he was in game number 1. 2 kills and a significant lead on top of all of that.
Oh, Hybrids. Great game sense. Unfortunately, it does mean he's going to lose out on a fair amount of gold. Meslo has ult.
Yeah, it's a bit of a lose-lose. In comes the flash. Knockout doesn't connect with the Glacial Prison will. Hybrids without any sort of escape will go down. The Ignite will burn him to a crisp. Meslo with kill number 1.
Are you familiar with the term dubstep Ignite, Graves?
that was the definition. That was the
right no. Dubstep Ignite is when they're 1 HP and you ignite them to take them down, and you like base drop it on the drop.
Yeah.
At the same time, that was an elevator music Ignite. It's where you put it down and it takes like all 5 ticks to find the kill.
Got it. My terminology wasn't correct there, I guess.
No, that's okay. So, we're an educational stream as well, above all else.
I feel like we have
on the right things as well.
We've been very like student teacher like oriented here, like trying to learn a lot of things, the signs up in the classrooms and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like this.
I do as well.
You know,
we're both teaching each other.
In a while. Yeah. Ultimate's traded here for Evan RL. Tomato has to use the miss to try to get away, but might not be able to. Here comes Savage with Weaver's Wall. Tomato buying a whole lot of space, and the teleport in from Meslo could be the difference maker in trying to pick up some kills here for Supernova. The taunt will land in on the Pluto. Has to use that ulti to try and get away. And in comes Ariandel looking for the kills. The soldiers will connect. I think Savage failed the flash there potentially, but it is Supernova now 4 for 1.
I think he flashed a little bit earlier to trying to escape, but you know, you're quite right. Flash on cooldown, and now a sitting duck in that mid lane. Ariandel has got flash, has got scoop as well, so very capable at repeat ganking in that mid lane. Really important to note that Tomato's Shroud actually saves him here from getting taken down initially. There's a sniper mark on him which would have done enough damage with all the sharp crumbs around Evan. Clyde limps away to safety right here, and then yeah, we saw Savage flash right there. It ultimately didn't really do anything since Ariandel is coming down from one side of the rift as well. Good to see that they put the stun down.
Stun, yeah.
Stun down, and Savage taken down, given the kill over then to Ariandel in the mid lane, putting a little bit of stock into this is here.
Get the Rift Herald as well. Ariandel and Actor doing a good job. Maybe not in the typical sense when you think of Supernova, but still working in harmony to get themselves early advantages through all of their roams. See Savage looking to push the pressure, forces the ulti out of the Azir, but Supernova in return continue to pressure the top side of the map, breaking open the top tier 1.
Okay, nicely done. You know, it's a trade of an ult for some good damage in the mid lane, but look at the army that is charging on top side.
Oh, Big Gnar coming in, taunted up is Mesla, but he'll just have the Arctic Assault to try and get away. Turret shots do a lot of damage, but not enough to take down this Sejuani. So the turret gets another proc by the Rift Herald. It is now 2,500 gold in favor of Supernova, and hey, Pluto's farming as well. He hasn't been involved with much, but he will be soon.
Did you see how many minions were there? Did you see the small army that Actor had built up? That wasn't like creeps from waves. Right? Yeah.
I'm still learning a little bit about
nasty. Yeah, you know what? I think that's fair. We're still new to Bel'Veth. I'm still learning as well, so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's one of those shock factor things when I see maybe 10 un-minion minions. You know. That have you? Okay.
There's definitely a word for that. I don't know what it is though.
I mean, it's just spawns, right? They're just Bel'Veth spawns, but un-minions minions seemed pretty cool. It was also the peak TikTok trend of the gentle minion stuff. You familiar?
Oh yeah.
That was Bel'Veth going to see it. With all the squad.
In the background, they all just kind of walk in with their hands like.
Yeah.
Ulti missed here by Meslo. Nice two-man stun back from Savage. Just going to make sure that he does not go down. Meanwhile, Evan RL going for an aggressive play, landing in the Gravitum stun. We'll try to slow down Pluto a little bit more. There goes the ulti. It's not enough damage. The Moonlight Vigil with the purple gun does not take Pluto down.
Unfortunate, but that was about as good as it was going to get. You have red gun, and unfortunately purple as the secondary is kind of rough for DPS there. Axe is here, though.
And he's very Clyde, popping the wild growth, now going to dash forward, but there's so much damage. Clyde forcing the flash away. And Actor continuing to just be a menace in all of the lanes. Ariandel with a nice buffer to try and cancel the dash, but it is not enough to save his life. Shorter Race gets on the board. Okay, nice attempt from Supernova, but it does get turned around. Actor using the mobility of this Bel'Veth to get back underneath, and if he can channel that E underneath the turret, he is going to melt some DK crew bot laners. Evan knows he has to try to go forward. Here comes the Encore. Will get dodged away from. There is now no flashes, no cleanse available for Evan or Clyde, but the summoner spells were used to absolute perfection as nobody down in the bottom side goes down.
Flash burned by Actor as well there to try and find that play. Now Short Race on that top side, never mind.
Oh, it's the return. Polymorph in onto Actor. Is taking a while to burn Clyde down, but finally will get it. First reset that we see on the Bel'Veth in action, and Evan RL is forced to play defensively. Nice kill for Actor, coming back and back again and finally paying off.
This is getting entertaining, Grapes. We're seeing attempted cross maps on both sides. Nice hold off by Ariandel, moving his way up to that top side with the teleport to prevent the dive play coming through. And of course, in the bot side, Actor Making his presence felt, making the impact in this game. Scaling true damage, of course. Something to be very fearful of, something to keep your note of, as Actor is currently having a pretty good time.
31 stacks now on the Bel'Veth. Just keep getting stronger and stronger. You talked about the Kraken Slayer actually not going for that build. This is something that we've seen out of things like Yone, Renekton from Robbie Bob in the last game, and now Bel'Veth. This is the Bork into the potential Sunfire picked up here for Actor, being as durable as possible against the likely strong front line that DK Crew have to offer.
You're telling me if we give a champion scaling true damage that she can build tank and still 1v1 anyone? Pause. Yeah, I guess so. We'll see if he can do it here. As Actor returns once more to the scene of the crime in the bottom lane. Shorter race here to try and make some sort of return. The Gale Force was popped by Evan RL, so Actor unable to get any more blood. Okay, so a good attempt on the bot side, but a disengage by Evan RL is simply just enough. This is where there is a leading sort of advantage for DK Crew. It is down in that bot lane and it is laying largely with Evan RL. Have also been fairly impressed with Savage on the Tilia as well. Really has been popping off with the movement, with the shoves as well. But Actor's back down here, doesn't want to give really a moment of reprieve for the DK Crew bot lane. Recognises that they're the fairly strong point on this map. And I know the very Endel's here too, but the question is, can they really do anything about it?
It just goes wide. 4 members of Supernova down to the bot side. This is going back to the formula again, Rude. Maybe the first 2 red buffs weren't secured, but the third one definitely will be. And if you remember that little graph that we had, that leads to the Supernova win, albeit not without the first.
Yeah, I mean,
going down. Okay, I had a point in it.
You take the third red buff. Maybe you can skip some steps, right? normally we like to see teams do their due diligence. Potentially this time, they've skipped some steps, not done the due diligence, but it'll work out anyway.
I feel like in general, that's doing due diligence doesn't seem to be Actor's cup of tea. He likes to just kind of go around, do whatever he wants, and it normally works out for him, as we're seeing here in this game. 3-0-1 has been monumental in all 3 lanes to help Supernova get this early advantage.
I have to ask as well, is that actually a phrase in America, or is that something that we just use over here?
I mean, we use it. I think we stole it from you. Like,
well, you definitely stole it from us. I just wondered if it was something that was commonly said. All right, all right.
Your British influence remains here in NA in more than just all the beautiful cats that you do, Rudy.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I did, of course, emigrate from England to North America back in 1600s. I have no idea when tea got emigrated.
I'm sure, yeah. I feel like you would be the you don't look at me for trying to know facts about tea.
I don't know either, dude. That's your country.
Your area, bro. Second Rift Herald started up. Supernova surely to take it down. Another reset into the hands of Actor as well will be very, very powerful, and we'll get a really nice push on top of this Shelly being utilized here once the reset comes through. Supernova doing all the right things, just have to, you know, close this game out, because that's been a struggle of them before.
With the Rift Herald, of course, it does make that closing out, which you mentioned they've struggled with, quite a lot easier. It certainly accelerates their gold, puts themselves, you know, potentially with a route to breaking open a mid lane tier 1 turret, which I think is the cornerstone of when you've broken into the mid game, really. You just have complete control of, or not complete control, but you open up a lot of worlds where you can take vision into the enemy jungle, start setting up picks, setting up plays that were otherwise unallowed to you. Short race forced to smite that one out. He's going for the Sunfire Aegis as well, and Savage could be in trouble here. Does have ulti.
We'll try to use it again. Oh, beautifully timed! Actor says no travel for you. The Dawning Shadow goes. Azania's will be utilized, but it is all just to delay the inevitable. Tomato lands the final blow.
Really well played by both sides, really. Actor able to interrupt the Weaver's wall, and the Zhonya's immunes all of the front-loaded damage that comes out from the Bel'Veth E. Importantly, Tomatoes there with just enough time, able to also help out, and now with this Rift Herald, they are going to get a second charge, potentially even a second turret.
Shorter Race and Clyde don't do a whole lot of damage. Evan is on the way, though. Nice usage of the smite. The Rift Herald won't get that additional proc, but in come the minions. They're all rolling up to the theater, and they're trying to break open this tier 2. A whole lot of extra DPS is there, but it looks like Supernova are going to back off before the structure falls.
And just done enough there to keep the structure alive, but Supernova with the sort of accelerated tempo that they've got, move their way into the mid lane and now can start to whittle away at that turret as well. 4 members ready to go. Savage going to be able to clear out some of the wave, but the wave is actually just Bel'Veth minions, the Bel'Veth spawns, and now there's a fresh wave to come in for Savage to try and deal with.
And even more Bel'Veth spawns just on top of that.
Yeah, of course. There's more. Sorry.
I feel like that synergizes so well. You take the Rift Herald, and then you get that unlocked kind of passive where the minions are able to spawn, and then you just have push on top of push. It's very cool. We're gonna see another one here as well. It's another dragon into the hands of Supernova.
Wow. Okay. This is getting a little bit scary. I know that Rammus is like the hard counter to Bel'Veth, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough. Yeah. Like I'm on that wavelength too. I'm kind of like, I mean, great. You've picked the counter, but you've not really utilized it so far. Bel'Veth is still 3-0-2. How countered has she really been this game?
It's tanky as well, so it's not even like, you know, like those clips of the Yi getting taunted and just like one-shots himself. It's not going to happen really this game because Actor has a little bit more durability. Also has Pluto to try and, you know, buff him up with some extra shields and heals on top of all of that. So I think for the moment, looking pretty good for Supernova. We have yet to see these two kind of interact in a 1v1 since Actor has gotten significantly farther ahead. So we don't have the answer to that question just yet, but for now, I think we can. I think your kind of prediction is in a good spot.
Thank you, thank you. It's what we hope for, at the very least. We could, of course, see this game continue to peter out slowly and slowly, but I do imagine that at some point Supernova will find themselves a fight. They have, in fact, gone for the Crossfire Gauntlet on Actor, so a little bit extra slow capability means that landing the knock-up becomes a little easier as well if you can find an auto-attack prior to firing that one down. And of course, if you're just going for auto plus E, it means that they're going to be stuck inside your spinny, chaos, burrowing doom spell. That's the name of it, by the way.
I'm gonna pretend that I know the name of it. You know.
No, that's the name now. I think I've done it.
What was the spinny, whirly thing?
Spinny, burrowy chaos spell.
Royal Maelstrom. Thank you.
Royal Maelstrom.
Yes, I will.
Oh, that is a bad name.
We're learning as we go. Here, you know,
this is a bad name.
This is the
I'm sorry, Riot.
We're developing both the players here.
It's not a Rude name.
As well as the casters. It's not a Rude name.
No.
You have to be in charge of kind of the rest of the naming capability of all the abilities from now on.
True.
We'll put you in charge of that.
Oh,
I do like yours more. Actor getting caught, another catch maybe onto Savage. That's so much damage on the tank. Bel'Veth now on a rampage, picks up another reset as Savage just goes down to the ground.
I mean, with no mid laner, and I think that he's been one of the bright spots for DK Crew.
Oh, big damage coming out from Pluto. The crowd control is there.
See the counter.
And it is a lot of damage back, but it's not enough. In comes Meslo with a teleport. The Glacial Prison will lock down Shorter Race. Hybrid has to hop away. Meslo picks it up. Was that a dubstep ignite? It might as well
Elevator music. Come on, Graves.
Another elevator music ignite. I didn't exactly see where the timing was. Either way, Supernova with 8 kills and onto the Baron they go.
No jungler for DK Crew. They've got Shorter Race. He hasn't got the Infernum. You have to get rid of this Graviton. Wow.
Big knock to the wall. This could be a potential good play, but it is just Actor picking up yet another kill. They'll get the Baron. Evan knows better than to try to fight a 2v5. There's no Yuumi on his side this time, which means Supernova get the advantage.
Wrong guns and a little bit too early for Hybrids. I recognize he went for it because his timer was about to run out, was going to become that mini, and at that point contesting is not possible, but I think that you just see the Aphelios guns and accept that you can't really take that fight right there. It's been a while since we've seen Aphelios in the meta, so it's worth remembering that if you ever try and take a team fight on purple gun, likelihood is it's not your best setup. The rest of them each have their own sort of niche interactions that can be very useful, but purple tends to be fairly bad.
At least for doing a lot of damage. Of course, the blue does a decent amount of AoE, but Evan really wasn't able to do much into this fight because of all the pressure that Actor and Meslo in the front lane were able to provide. Yeah,
at this point, right, we're thinking, okay, look at the elevator music ticking. Finally, does fall though, and it was a very close run thing. There was a Lulu shield in there as well that made me think. And then look, Hybrids goes in, gets the Gnar, and then he's immediately minied, which means that he's just going to die immediately after anyway. So that's why he went so swiftly for that. But ultimately, it was a little bit too far forward. The rest of the team weren't quite ready, and the rest of the team were, consisted of Everin and Clyde. Not really the duo that can 3v5 just yet.
Need a little bit more time. Need a little bit more gold. But I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get either of those two. Supernova with the Baron buff for another 90 seconds. Already at a 6k gold lead. Going to try to make it more. A lot of inner structures still remain for them to take. A lot of extra potential for them to gain this lead. And for this team, fighting into the late game with this scaling composition would be a whole boost of confidence for them because, again, this is not something that we've seen from them super often.
When we look at this DK crew squad, right, we've got two main damage sources. It's Evan and it's Savage. Savage has opted into a Morellonomicon second and has got a Tear of the Goddess, which is going to likely try and complete. Those are two fairly low damage items built built more around trying to disrupt healing from Supernova and then also build a little bit of safety in your kit by getting healing down for yourself. And Evan, who opted into a BT and a Gale Force. These are great items for an Aphelios, right? The two that you tend to go towards, and up against the likes of a Senna who's poking you quite frequently, I don't mind it. But you need that Infinity Edge before you start hitting like an absolute madman. And with that not being picked up by DK crew, those two damage sources are not dishing it out yet.
DK, they want to dance. They want the engage, but there comes the charm. Pluto slowing down any sort of aggression that DK tried to possess. Tomato lands in the final blow onto the Rammus, and the rest are soon to fall. Actor dodges away from another knock-up here. Evan still free hitting, but not a whole lot of firepower just yet on the Aphelios. Supernova looking to continue the push. They'll break open this mid-tier 2.
With the Baron as well. 5 seconds before that wears off. Job done for Supernova. They have got themselves the mid-tier 2 turret, which was what they were there for. Took them a fight. They were able to take down Shorter Ace and successfully defend their jungler as well. I think they're defending Ariendel, in fact, who was the engage to begin with. No top tier 2 going to fall just yet. Potential for Savage to defend that one. A little too high, unfortunately. But they do get that Baron, and of course with it they used the timer to secure a couple turrets across the map. An extra acceleration of gold, 7,500 gold to the good right now, and for a composition that scales very, very well into the late game as well. Senna and Azir, two champions that definitely very scary. Belveth as well, I think obviously needs an introduction as an incredible late game scaler, but that's not a minion wave, folks. That's just Belveth.
It's the spawn wave. That doesn't sound as cool. I like minion. No. What?
Okay, Rudude comes back to Riot as a name, as a person who runs the names. Those Voidlings has already been taken. Voidlings is such a cool name, but it's Malzahar. Yeah. Can we cross?
Wait, hold on. Okay, I'm looking at these are called Voidlings.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's alright.
Wow. So you just got that without even
instinctively.
Wow.
Instinctively.
I'm so impressed.
And this is why I work for Riot. You know, this is why I name...
If not now, then soon. I mean, it's bound to happen at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to look at it and be like, well, this guy knows the names of our abilities, must hire.
And he'll come up with better names.
And he'll call out the ones that are bad.
That's your campaign speech.
No. I don't think I've ever campaigned for anything in my life. Does campaigning frequently happen in people's lives? I don't think that's like.
So I ran for like high school class office, but I never had like a motto.
Oh, that's what. Did you get? Did you get it?
I did win. Yeah. So
well, you don't need the motto.
I guess you don't need it. Yeah. That's kind of again the results-based analysis that we love here on the Path to LCS stream. Supernova continuing to push the base open. Now 8,000 gold lead for themselves. Set up really nicely with all the structures completely destroyed. For this Baron, taking about a minute.
I thought of your campaign slogan, by the way.
Yeah?
How do you want your high school? But it's how do you want your high school?
Oh, okay. So my uncle, I think, ran for class office back in the day, and like we were looking around his old childhood home, and we saw a poster, and it said, "How is now?" I just remembered that.
Wow, that's pretty good.
That's good, right?
We should give context. Do you want to give the people context?
Okay, my last name is How. H-A-U sounds like the word how. That's why we're kind of rolling with this. In case you guys aren't aware with my everyday life, which of course you should.
Why aren't people keeping up? You know, there's a lot of stuff being missed out, such as what his uncle has a poster of randomly.
Yeah, it's on the test.
It's on the test, guys. Get your study up.
This Baron is gone. Supernova are just making burn it down. Savage is actually popping the Weaver's Wall, but
it's a scouting Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, okay. It's just a Baron going down. Supernova nearly at 10k in the lead and are playing it slow for the first time in that I've seen out of this team, at least in competitive play, in terms of, you know, getting this win, sending us to that match point.
So this is something that we saw from them in summer when they went to top 12 up against AoE Randoms. They had one really chaotic game where they managed to barely scrape out a victory, and then they said game number 2 they dialed it back in and they absolutely destroyed AoE Randoms. It was not even close to being like a competitive game. It was very, very meticulous, methodical, and a bit akin to what we're seeing from them here. So if they can, you know, once again dive down on that, get a good set of team fights going, come the close stages of this game, they're going to be in a good spot. TP back to the base to try and defend as well.
They're going to need it. The Voidlings are coming in huge here for Supernova. See, look at me, learning on the spot with all these new ability names coming out.
What's Supernova? Quick, go.
Cease and desist.
Nice.
I'm killing it right now.
You really
I don't know. Like I'm getting all the.
We did a Q&A earlier in game 1 of this series. You smashed that.
Right. we're just non-stop W's here.
Yeah,
me, at least. Catching
them left, right, and center. A bit like Supernova, honestly, with this game.
Well, at least in this game. Not in the last game. Last game didn't work out.
Okay, here goes Shorter Ace.
Yeah, they're going to look for the engage right now. Ulti will go wide, not landing a single knockup. Shorter Ace is now rooted. He's now charmed. He's now stunned. He's taken a whole lot of damage. Actor is exhausted in the front line, so he won't be able to burst down Evan just yet. But the turret will go down in the mid lane. Inhibitor in this now available as Meslo dashes forward. Actor dashes forward. Everybody on Supernova is going forward, and there's not much room for DK Crew to retreat to.
Not a lot that they can do about it either. One inhibitor falls, the Baron buff still on for another minute, means that Supernova can likely transition this down into the bot side. No soaring slam for Short Race, means that his engaged potential is very limited. Turret now falls, Actor goes forward.
Gonna keep going, the E does a whole lot to keep himself alive. He's taunted but does not take any damage whatsoever. Flashing forward, taking down his lane counter, so to speak. But it looks like Supernova are going to send us to that game 3. Meslo is a beast in the front line. Everybody else doing a whole chunk of damage. And Supernova scaled to late, and they're going to march us to a game number 3.
I don't think they're going to get it just yet, Grapes. They're going to go for some more KDA.
Actor is... This champion is good, I think.
Quick, get the sign ready.
We're talking about the debates right now. Very, very good. Evan RL taking up a little bit. Pluto barely misses out on the encore. Clyde goes down to Ariandel. They're looking for another one. Tomato into the fountain. Will they end the game before? They got it. They got it. Nobody on Supernova dies. They stand 5 strong on to the nexus of DK Crew.
Complete contrast from game number 1, 2 and 14. Your scoreline at the end of that game. Supernova absolutely dismantling DK Crew. It was a back and forth in this series so far, 1-1, and game number 3 looming to keep yourselves in contention for a PG spot.
We said that we were going to see a lot of game 3s here on this stream today, Reed. Not in the first series, but in the second series they have delivered. And I'm really excited to see this one. I really love, again, the adjustments that Supernova made from game 1 draft to game number 2. They picked some extra scaling. They still allowed for Actor to get a lot of early ganks with all the setup that they had in their lanes. And they are now looking at a potential spot in Proving Grounds come this next victory. As we see the gold graphs and all of the like here in the post-game screen, Evan RL actually doing a lot of damage, but the consistency from Supernova shined through.
Yeah, unfortunately Supernova had a lot of health, which was the real reason that this didn't go quite as well as the damage graph may have led you believe. A lot of consistent damage as well across all of Supernova, doing pretty much what they needed to when they needed to. It felt like it was a lot of Actor, but you can see that the damage profile is split very evenly amongst everybody on that Supernova team, and it never really looked like there was anything different going to happen this game. DK Crew never really got a look in anywhere. This Rammus pick felt very underwhelming to me. Yes, it's the counter to the Velvet, but it never really got used as such, and it was certainly to be punished here.
Yeah, and for Supernova, again, looking really good, have the momentum riding into game 3, and guess what, Rude? We're back to the same size as we have just heard. DK electing again to go towards blue, so maybe some more deviations from them in the draft, as the Yuumi, again, as we mentioned at the start of this segment, was still left on the ban table. We're going to take a short break before we head in one more game to decide who moves on into the lower bracket.